What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Byzantine Grand Campaign. For those of you who don't know, this is a series I've started back in CK2 and then converted the game into EU4, played all the way through, converted it into Victoria 2, played all the way through, and now we're here in Hearts of Iron. This is the first conversion video that I'm going to show you. We're still far from actually starting or continuing the series in Hearts of Iron 4. There's a lot of things that need to be changed to actually, drive the story forward properly. But yeah, so far, if we just have a look at the map, things look really, really good. If you still have the old Victoria 2 map in mind, then there's not really much that has changed. I think that the mod makers have done a really, really good job in properly mapping the provinces. So yeah, you can see the borders of the Roman Empire, you can see even a better name placement, which is so nice. You see the French territories here, you see the United Kingdom, Scandinavia, and so on and so forth. So that is really well done. I don't even think we even have like these small shenanigans here with Dihistan and Tabriz. We have our colonies here. Even the Netherlands have their little colony. So all in all, things look basically the way they should. Obviously, this is the first conversion update, and the reason is that it's probably gonna take quite some time until we can continue this series in Hearts of Iron 4. Whether it's a multiplayer, this is what I plan, or it's gonna be a single player, I don't know. That really depends on how this mod, how the converter develops, and how much time and effort I can put into the modding the save itself. But this is something I'm going to talk about a little bit later as well. But as I said, for now, the map looks amazing. The converter is the 0.2C version is the one that I'm using right now, and as you can probably tell, that is very far away from a 1.0 version. So it's going to be quite some time until all of the features are included that the mod makers have envisioned, and added to that are all the features that I want to include personally, which is not necessarily features, but events and national focus trees and all these kinds of things. But I think this is a great start so far, and there's a few things that I would like to show you that I think have worked well, and a few things that I think have worked terrible. First thing that worked just amazing, I've already mentioned this, is the map. It looks just perfect, right? If we also have a look at our puppet states that we've made. The first one was Mallorca. They've transferred as a puppet. They are a satellite state, which is, what I would have wanted them to be. I'm not entirely sure about them being fascist. It could be that they were fascist. I just don't know. But it doesn't really matter all that much. They have a flag which looks very similar to the one they had before, so that's okay. Maybe more important to the people will be Scandinavia, which has a flag that I find is very fitting. They are fascist, but here I'm kind of missing the fascist support. But the thing that really matters is that they are actually fascist, so that's really cool. They're also a puppet of the Roman Empire. Then we have Rostov, and now it's called Dominion. Krakow is a dominion of Rostov, but you know what? It doesn't really matter that much to me. I think the most important part here is that they are actually a vassal state of Rostov. So I think, as I said, that's the most important part. Whatever it's called, it doesn't really matter that much. You've also probably noticed some other ideologies. So we have absolutism in Rostov, for example. We have that in Krakow as well. And of course, this is also the dominant government in the Roman Empire. Now, it's pretty difficult to obviously convert the various ideologies from Victoria 2 into the Hearts of Iron 4 system, because in Hearts of Iron, what you really have is you have Democrats, you have communists, and you have fascists, and then you've got non-aligned, right? That's kind of hard to say. Because in Victoria 2, you have a lot more. The communists are communist, so that's clear, and the fascists are the fascists. But who's going to be Democrats, right? I guess you can always count the liberals in in Victoria as Democrats. I think there's no problem doing that. But who's going to be absolutist, who's going to be democratic? I think that the reactionaries should always be absolutists, whereas conservatives could be democratic in a democracy, but I think in a absolute monarchy, conservatives should be absolutists. And I think in the converters or the mod makers have decided that conservatives are always going to be democratic. This explains why you have such a huge support for democracy despite our absolute government. But I think this still makes sense. If we do have a look, if we have a closer look, I think we also had some other ideologies. I just can't find this right now. The radicals, and that is, I think, anarcho-liberals. They are counted as radicals. We do have a fascist great power. We have Brunswick, so there you go, 51% fascism, a lot of Democrat support, and a little bit of absolutist support as well. And we also have a communist great power, so there you go, 44%. But the big problem I have, that's one of the things that didn't go too well, are the factions. If we have a quick look, there's a few alliances. The way it was initially intended was that all the 8 great powers would have their own faction at the beginning, and all of their sphere members would be in their faction. Now, I think it's good that it wasn't handled this way, because that would have put our alliance, the Roman alliance, at, you know, a very dominant position, or would given us a very dominant position, because, you know, we would have had Rostov, Novgorod, Karite, Stistan, Tabriz. You would have had, you know, Netherlands, Belgium, our vassals, United Baltic provinces, and so on and so forth. A lot of people in that faction. So I think it makes sense that's not the case. But calling us the Alliance of Inca is not ideal. We have our puppets in our faction. We also have the United Baltic provinces for some reason. They're not our puppets, so I don't know why they're being picked. And yeah, it's called the Alliance of Inca, which is obviously a problem. Because there's also another Alliance of the Inca, the Alliance of the actual Inca. And in that one, we have, I think, the Creek in there, but nobody else. Now, it makes sense, sort of. I mean, we had an alliance with the Inca as a great power, so you could argue that we should be in an alliance together, but then it should be called something else, like the Roman Incan Alliance or something like this. So yeah, the factions, they were completely bonkers, you could say. Liège did sphere Bohemia, Moravia, but they also had Iceland. It's just kind of arbitrary. This whole faction system is arbitrary, but I think this is one of the easier things to fix, or if not for the mod makers to fix, it's relatively easy to mod this, so that shouldn't be a big problem. But yeah, other than that, yeah, what else should we look at? Maybe something that people are very interested in are the national focus trees. So let's actually do that. We have a lot of just general focus trees, which is to be expected, which I personally don't find a big problem. If they give good bonuses, you know, why not? But there's also some more customized focus trees. For example, we have the Glory to the Empire focus tree. And I think this is actually well done in parts, because we can go between strengthening the colonies and strengthening home. This is cool. This is for every colonial power that makes sense, this general focus. We have some possibilities to establish a colonial army, where we also get actually 5% recruitable population. That's huge, because right now we've got close to 4 million and we're on volunteers only. So yeah, that's obviously the big advantage of the Roman Empire. But anyways, you know, establishing protectorates over Swahili and Yao, that sort of makes sense. And also the other tree where we can conquer the Baris, conquer air. I feel like that makes sense. We even have at some point the possibility to go to war with the United Kingdoms, just straight up go to war with them, go to war with Liège. It's not perfect, but there's some really good ideas here that needs to be fleshed out. I've checked some of the great powers. It seems like only the great powers get only the nations that have the great power national spirit get these unique focus trees. Everyone else just kind of gets the generic ones. But still, there's some really interesting ideas. I think the Brunswickian one, the fascist one, was pretty interesting as well. The third way, they can establish yeah, military march day, and then they have the union with Bavaria, union with Holstein options, which I think is really cool because those two obviously German cultured to the north and to the south respectively. I think you should also include Pomerania here, perhaps even Bohemia, Moravia, perhaps even Scandinavia because they're fascists and have a lot of German population. There's a lot more things that could be fleshed out, but it's already well done, and they can go to war with Liège, which for a long time was, you know, a great power that, you know, that was fighting Brunswick. So this is really cool. I like that a lot. We also, I think we should also check out the communist tree, the Ojibwe, that Ojibwe has. So once again, they have the regular things, and then they have Home of the Revolution, where they can influence some of their neighboring states and then cause civil wars in their countries, or they can straight out, you know, strengthen the Comintern, go with international communist pressure, and go to war. Yeah, it's kind of weird that you can go to war with the Blackfoot twice. As I said, not fleshed out, but it's a nice idea. As for the more democratic nations, I don't know what the UK has. They basically have war propaganda. That's what we're known. Well, those trees are known from the United States in vanilla, and then you can eventually embargo someone. In this case, it's going against the fascists in Brunswick, which I think makes sense, but they should also have one where they want to stop the Roman Empire. That would be very important too. But overall, I think those are some really great ideas there. We also have some claims that have transported over. So for example, Castile has some claims on Portugal. Would be nice if that would also result in them having the possibility to attack Portugal. Yeah, other than that, what else is there to say? The way that infrastructure has converted isn't very well done, but that's, you know, maybe not the biggest problem. We have a lot of factories, makes sense. I think we have the most factories. Let me just quickly check England here. You have got 11. So, okay, what's that? That's 12. That's 28. All right, that's actually okay. I mean, we are by far the industrial powerhouse, so that all other nations have less factories sort of makes sense. You know, that's 75, that's 80 factories total. We've got 400. I feel like that fits. I feel like that fits. Especially because, yeah, a lot of this is dockyards for us. One thing that didn't really port over well is the armies. We've got only 6 cavalry divisions and 22 assault divisions that we can actually, you know what, we'll check this out right now, the template here. Now, I'm happy that they included light tanks, because we did have a few tanks. And I guess, you know, the tanks that we had, we left off in 1919, but now at 1936. So the tanks that we started off with are obviously, you know, not really able to stand their own in a fight. They're very, very early tanks, so they shouldn't be that good. But I like that they included them here. So actually, this is well done, but I feel like we have a lot fewer forces than we should have. If we have a look at the rest of our divisions here, we've got the armored division. We've already seen that. Mechanized is... Actually, no, armored we have not. We've seen the assault division, which is basically infantry with a little bit of tank. Armored is full-on tank and mechanized, or... yeah, motorized infantry. So they've got a few divisions. I think that's a few templates. I think they're really well done. I wish a few more of them would have actually made their way into the field already. But that's not a big deal. However, the Navy isn't perfect. First of all, our Navy is down here. We've got a few battleships. 7 battleships, 8 heavy cruisers, and 2 destroyers, which I think is sort of okay, because we obviously just lost a huge war. A huge naval battle against the Brits. So our Navy needs some time to recover. But the problem is that if this is true, if this intel is correct, the British only have 1 ship. And that shouldn't be the case. They should have the strongest Navy in the world right now. Or at least maybe the Inca should have a little bit more. But they only have 2 ships. And I think this is certainly wrong. Also, something that's interesting is, obviously, all great powers get this great power bonus. There's no national spirit for secondary powers, which I think is sad. And also, some nations, and that seems to be very arbitrary, are uncivilized, giving heavy penalties. And that is really bad for Inca as well as Ojibwe, I think. They have this negative, national spread as well. But the Blackfoot do not, even though they're also located in America. So I'm not entirely sure why this is. For example, Chu is not uncivilized, but then all of a sudden Yan is uncivilized. Is Yao uncivilized? No, even though they should be. So it's kind of strange. Once again, that's kind of arbitrary who gets these national spirits and who doesn't. But it's a nice idea. Overall, it's a nice idea. Yeah. What else do we need to talk about? Maybe have a quick look at the research. Obviously, it basically... We do have the motorized because we had tanks researched. So we have the... we have the Great War tanks. That actually makes a lot of sense because we left off in 1919. Motorized... I guess they kind of have to give this to us. But, of course, our weapons are very old. Basic equipment. Wait, we don't even have that researched? Okay, maybe that's something we should have had researched. I think we also get some bonuses towards some doctrines. No, nothing. Nothing at all. Okay. As for air, we have nothing researched, which I think is a big problem because we already had planes. So we should have at least had the very basic models of fighters and bombers. But, you know, once again, this is maybe a minor thing that doesn't really matter all that much. One other cool thing that has been implemented is world tension. We're actually the ones with the largest world tension. And that is basically just our infamy from Victoria 2. Basically, we had 19 infamy the time or at the point we converted. And so this has been reduced or, divided by 10 and then put into percentages and added as world tension. This is really well done. I like this because this way the world doesn't start off with nothing, but with a little bit of world tension, but it's not too bad. This was really well done. But yeah, I guess I could talk about this, you know, a lot longer. Doesn't really matter that much because, as I said, there's still many things that need to be done. One thing I do want to show you, though, is the resource map modes, because a lot of resources have been added. So Africa and South America in particular, a lot more valuable than they used to be. So there's a lot more oil, a lot more rubber and stuff like that to be found. Not sure about Africa. Not sure about Australia. I think Australia is getting a little bit of a bump as well. Then I don't know here if that has been improved at all, but probably. This is something I really like as well, just to have more resources available and make, you know, the rest of the world just more important. Also, the states themselves have been changed to sort of match the Victorian states. So, for example, Vasconia, Aragon is a Victoria 2 state. And then, now I don't know if these states have actually been divided, but it seems like, yes, Castilian Valencia and French Valencia are two different states, which is cool. And yeah, as I said, Provence kind of owns Corsica. That's sort of weird, but yeah, for the most part, it actually sort of makes sense. Bavaria is huge, and it also ported over the population. So you see that there's 11 million population, civilian population here in Bavaria, and we don't actually have that many in Byzantium. We have close to 4 million. We have a lot more in Rome, and our most populous state, I think, is Canton Steiermark, which contains our strongest or our most populated city. Krakow is well populated as well, and if we have a look at Albany, for example, this is insane. A lot of population. This is because this was the biggest city in Victoria 2. But yeah, as I said, I'm rambling on. This is just the first conversion that I wanted to show you. I hope this was interesting to you. And yeah, there's a few things I need to change. I think I'm still going to wait for the mod makers to continue working on the converter to just get a little bit of work off my shoulders. But still, especially considering the national focuses and stuff like that, I want them to be fitting to the story we had. For example, France needs to have the chance you know, either become North American power or a colonial power, or to reclaim their lands in Europe. And that's simply not represented in their tree. You know, they can go to war with the Blackfoot and, you know, go for more protectorates, but there's nothing about reclaiming their homelands, which is something very important in my opinion. So for that, I need your guys' help. And I think the easiest way to communicate things is through my Discord. So I would like, if you guys are interested in seeing this succeed, I would like you guys to join my Discord channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description, and there will be a certain channel. I'm gonna call it Victoria 2 mod or something like this. You will find it. I'll point you to it. If you can't find it, you can also just ask in general chat where it is, and I'll point you towards it. But it would be really nice if you guys could join in there. Just share your ideas, because doing that through YouTube is a little bit difficult, because I don't get notifications for all the comments and yada yada yada. I don't think I need to explain this too much. Just join the Discord if you're interested. And yeah, I mean, you will get your ideas into this mod technically as well, and yeah, that would be a tremendous help. Anyways, I'm gonna have to end it here. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.